Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. We're going to be talking about phone photography and reels or video for your business. My name is Diana Henderson, and this is a little bit about me. So I have Life is Art Photography and Brand Coaching is a business that I started and run that helps small to medium-sized businesses to develop or grow their brand and helps them to really be a recognizable institution, I guess, online and in person, helps them with their marketing. The Purpose-Driven Brand is a program that I developed from the hundreds of businesses that I've worked with over the years. And the purpose of that, the Purpose-Driven Brand, is to help businesses develop a business that is profitable, but also makes a difference in the world. And so a lot of branding now and a lot of marketing, the research says that purpose-driven businesses outperform those that don't. So if you think about the sort of businesses that give back to the community, that have, that they have a portion of their profits that go back to environmental issues, towards safe drinking water, anything like that, that would be a purpose-driven brand. And I know that so many of the women that I've worked with in the Kimberly, the Aboriginal women in business with Natasha and Kimberly Gigas and a few of the other organizations up there, and I know this organization as well, that most of the time, you get into business not just because you want to make money for yourself, but because you want to make a difference in your community. And it's kind of the way of that business is going forward these days. So it's a really important thing that we will touch on a bit today in our webinar as well, is just how do we develop our branding and making sure that we're sharing that purpose behind why we're doing business, because it helps people connect with us on a deeper level. And then Diana Henderson is my main website. I've written a book all about creativity, and that's kind of the place where I speak more about that. So that's a little bit about who I am and just what I'm bringing to today's webinar. So before we jump into the photography and the video part of it, I really want to just touch on social media. Now, we could do multiple webinars actually on social media and how to use it effectively in your business. But really what we're talking about today is taking photos and videos for the purpose of sharing on social media to promote your business. So there's a few key things that you need to understand about social media before we kind of jump into that part of it. So number one, it's really important to have really good quality photos and videos with your brand. So, your mom or your auntie, like they might love getting little videos of that you've taken or pictures of the people you love, and it doesn't really matter the quality because the person in the photo is important to us and we just love seeing them, right? But when we're sharing on our business pages, we need to make sure that we're presenting ourselves professionally, and we do that by having high quality imagery. So what I'm not saying is that every single photo and video that you share on your social media has to be like taken by a professional, be perfectly framed and shot. But what I am saying is that there are a few little tips and tricks that I'm going to teach you today that are going to help you to just have that higher quality in your videos and your photography that you're sharing on your social media. And that's just really important. The second thing that you need to understand about social media is that it's right there in the word, and that's that social media is social. So The reason that we post on social media as a business isn't just to be like a billboard. So sometimes I see small businesses especially treat their social media like a billboard. So you just like put up information that people are going to, you know, in the old days you used to drive past billboards. Nowadays we swipe past, you know, the social media. And you might think of your social media as a billboard and that people are just gonna like, as they're swiping by, they're going to see your stuff. But that's not actually the most effective way, especially as a small business, to use social media. So social media is to help us connect with potential clients and past clients. So if somebody likes, comments, shares, interacts in any way with one of your posts, that's an invitation for you to then have a conversation back, right? Because people do business with companies and people that they like, know, and trust. And we won't do business with people unless we're sure that we trust them, that we like what they stand for, and we like to know a little bit about them. And so social media is this really, really powerful tool to help us connect with people who we would never really be able to connect with in real life. So I know many of you are quite remote, you know, and I know I'm in Albany, so I'm regional as well. And I know that we can be quite, the businesses and services that we're offering may not even really pertain to the community that you directly live in. So, or that there's a very small number of people within that community who could actually interact with your business, buy from you. But with social media and the internet, you know, the whole world can be our workplace, you know, and is a potential for clients that are far reach, have a far greater reach. And so it's really important that you remember that social media is social, and that the more that you build relationship with people on your online community, then the more likely they are, when they're ready to buy your product and service, that you'll be the person that they choose to buy from. And then the last thing we need to talk about is video. So since about 2020, so when we all got put into lockdown because of COVID, TikTok really took off, the app, and it really changed Facebook, Instagram, and even YouTube, because all of a sudden people were wanting to interact with video more than they were wanting to interact with, you know, like photography, like still life photos and text and things like that. And so today we're going to talk about video and simple ways that you can incorporate that into your business. But it's really important to know that there was this really big push, especially on Instagram, where they said we're no longer a photo sharing site, which was originally what Instagram was. And they said that we're now basically an entertainment site. So we're here to entertain. And so with that, they started prioritizing video over still photography. And so that's been going on for just over a year now. And what's really interesting though, is that about a month ago, Instagram made another little change in their logarithms. And basically what they were finding is that as people scroll and it's just video after video after video after video, is that we get a bit overwhelmed with that. It's too much. And so what happens is that people kind of, after a while, they're like, okay, I'm overloaded. I'm going to get off the app. Now you have to remember that all of these apps, the thing that they want more than anything is your eyeballs on the app. So they want you in the app interacting, watching, and scrolling. And that's how they measure, how social media apps measure success, is how long and how often can we get you to pick it up and look at it, essentially. And so when something's happening on the app that causes people to be on it less, they see that as not good. And so what they've started doing is they've started prioritizing the carousels of images. So a carousel of images is when you post multiple images in one post. And so you have like one photo, swipe, two photos, swipe, three photos that are all in your one post. And they'll have like the little dots under it, so you know that there's multiple images. And so what's interesting is with all of this push for video, and I've seen over the last year, so many small businesses are really scrambling to figure out video and get video. And it's just interesting to see that there is a little bit of a step back again, and that the photography is still relevant on these apps. It's just that instead of posting just one image at a time, we want to post two or more, so that the apps will start prioritizing those as well. So that's just a little bit about the mechanics of social media and why we're taking photos and videos. That, the purpose for this isn't just to take beautiful photos and beautiful videos. Well, that's wonderful. As business owner, the purpose of this is to drive dollars into our bank account, essentially. We want to connect with these possible clients, and we want to keep in connection with our past clients so that when they're ready to buy, they still have that relationship with us as a business. So those are your kind of top 3 tips for social media. Like I said, there's so much more to social media than that, but that's kind of the big things. If you can just remember to keep your photos and videos of a fairly good high quality. Remember that social media is social, and keep that interaction online with people, like reach out and try to start that communication, and then just understanding how video fits into it. So I did a webinar a few weeks ago, and I did touch a little bit on some of this, but we're just going to touch on it again in some of this, just so that we're all up to date. But one thing is that as a small business, it's really hard to create enough content for the amount of social media that you need to be posting to be really effective. And so there's a real balancing act here between creating your own content, your own original content, but also having like kind of that filler content that's enough to keep your socials active. So stock photography is a really important tool in the business owner's backpack of marketing. So here are 3 websites. We have Unsplash, Pexels, and Pixabay, and they all offer royalty-free photography, videos, music, etc. So you cannot, as a business owner, just go on to Google and be like, I'm going to Google around and find an image I love and download it and use it in my business, because it puts your business at risk. When a photographer or a videographer, when they create content, when they take a photo and they take a video or they make a graphic design, they automatically have the copyright to that. So you don't, I'm a photographer, I don't have to go and apply for copyright for every single photo that I take. I don't have to apply for copyright for every blog post of words, that I write. There's an inherent copyright to the person who produces it. And so for me as a professional photographer, if I have invested, decades into learning my craft, I have certainly invested tens of thousands of dollars into my equipment and to my education and all of those things to be really good at this craft. And so I produce this beautiful photo, and somebody Googles around and takes it and then uses it in their business without paying me, then they're breaking the law. So what that does is that if you as a business owner does that, you're putting your business at risk, basically, of having to then back pay whoever produced that for the amount of time you used it. Or you could even get into like legal strife. And this is something that makers and creators all over the world are really starting to crack down on. So when you use photography in your business, you need to make sure that you have the rights to it. And that's where stock photography is really great. That is royalty free. So basically on these sites, photographers, videographers, musicians, they have put royalty-free music, royalty-free video and photos onto these sites, and they say you're allowed to use these. We're not going to come after you for copyright. We've basically said we just want to give back to the world and the community, and so here they are. So these sites are a great place for you to go and find that filler content that you're not going to get in trouble with. The one kind of caution I want to give you is that on all of these sites, while there is free content, there's also pay for content. And some of it is quite expensive. So you just need to be really careful that you don't accidentally, without realizing, download, a video that they're now going to charge $250 from your bank account for the use of. So just make sure that when you're using it, that you stick in that, if you don't want to pay for something, that you're in that royalty-free section where it's free to download and use. So that's some options of how you can boost up the content in your social media. So let's quickly talk about phone photography. There's a few things that we need to know. Now, the first thing is the thing that I see the most often is, and like mine's a perfect example, is that we need to remember that when we're taking photos with our phones, is that we use our phones all day. And so these little lenses here is what the camera actually has to take the photo through. So the lens is the glass that the camera looks through to see the world, and different lenses can change the way we see the world when looking through our camera. But if our lenses are dirty, so if they have if I was on the phone and I was talking and in doing that, I put fingerprints all over it, or my fingers were sticky, or it was in my bag and, got grime on it, that lens is going to see the world through all of that. So the very first thing you do every single time before you take a photo is you just take your shirt or your pants and you just give those lenses a little clean. So wipe them down so they're nice and clean, and that the lenses are actually clear and can take a better photo. The other thing is that the sensor is the part of the camera that captures or records what the lens sees. So in a digital camera, the sensor uses digital code that a computer can turn into a picture. In old film cameras, the film was the sensor that captured the picture. So you can see here that we have these little pixels or squares, and each one of those squares is basically a little bit of information that your phone or your camera records, and then the computer that's either in your phone or in your bigger computers, then turn that code into a picture. So that's just the real basics of both, and this applies to both photography and videography. So the first thing you do before anything else every single time is you wipe down your lens. The other thing is a reminder, if you haven't watched the other video, is that the rule of thirds. So when you're taking photos or videos, you want to break your picture up into these thirds. So we have this tendency to put the subject right here in the middle, but for whatever reason, the human eye finds it more balanced and more aesthetically pleasing when things are broken up into odd numbers. So when we put something in the middle, we've essentially broken the photo into two parts. We've broken it up into a left and a right. But when we shift the main subject a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, or if we're looking at like something with a horizon line, if we shift that from being in the middle to a little bit to the bottom or a little bit to the top, that automatically makes a more pleasing photo. So that's one little tip that will help you to take better pictures. The other thing is exposure. So for both photography and videography, the exposure is basically just the fancy word for how bright or how dark a photo is. So overexposed photos and video and underexposed photo and video don't look as professional. So it's overexposed if it's too bright like this, underexposed if it's too dark. And so what we want to get is that good exposure in the middle. And the way that you can tell if you've got good exposure is you'll see like up here, especially in the brightest part of the photo, which if you're outside is usually the sky. You can see how it's all white, but here we can see the blue skies and the cloud. That's usually a good indication that it's overexposed. The other indication is if we have people's faces in the photo, you can see how it's lost all of the detail. So like here we can see the skin color, we can see the little bits of shadow on the face. Here it's just kind of all washed out and kind of white. Underexposed, we can tell if we're underexposing by looking at the shadows. So like in this photo here, we can see that we can't see any of the details of this grass here, right? We can't see the muddy track, we can't see the individual blades of grass, and we certainly can't see all of the details in these trees. So a really good exposed photo means that we have details both in these highlights, but also down here in these shadows as well. So getting that exposure right is really important. So I just want to quickly show you. Now it's the same whether you have an iPhone or you have, an Android phone. So when you come into your phone and you go to your camera, you'll see that it looks like this. And what you do is if you just touch the camera, a little box with a sun will appear. And so if you drag that sun up, it'll get brighter. Or if you drag it down, it'll get darker. So that's how you can change that exposure in your phone. So you touch on the thing that you want to be in focus. So you would touch on the person's face if that's what you're looking at. You would touch the face, right? You would touch the face. And then when that sun appears, you drag your finger up to make it bright or drag it down to make it darker. And that's how you can change the exposure yourself. So if you're out somewhere really bright and sunny and you're videoing a person, you're going to touch on their face because that's the thing that you want to have lit properly. So you'll touch on their face on the phone and then you'll drag your finger up to make it brighter or darker. So that's a little tip for that. The other thing that I really like is this app. I'm going to share 2 apps that are free that you can also use to just enhance things. So after you've taken a photo, you can come in here and you can add effects, you can make some adjustments and filters and things like that as well. So this app is called A Color Story. Now there is a paid version and there's things that you can buy like add-ons as well, but you don't have to do that. Like just get the free version, excuse me, and have a little play with it and see if it helps you with just after you've taken your photos to make some little adjustments in it. But I really want to spend today talking more about video. So the rule of thirds still applies for video. And here's a really good example of it. So for video, the rule of thirds goes this way, right? And then it cuts it kind of into these thirds this way. So you can see here that the boab tree here, that the trunk of it is along this third here. And then you can see how the kind of the branch, this branch here kind of touches that third, right? And then down here, you can see how the rocks kind of end. I mean, there's a few here, but they kind of end about that bottom third. So when you're looking at this photo, it doesn't have to be exact. It's not like it has to fall exactly on the thirds. It's like a guide. So you can see when we look at this photo, roughly 2/3 of the bottom are like rocks and grass, and roughly 1/3 of it is a blue sky. And then we can see how the tree creates that line. That means 1/3 of the picture is on this side of the tree and 2/3 of the picture is on that side of the tree. So in your phone, you can actually put on this little grid here, okay? So that when you're looking through your phone to take the video, you actually have that grid to work with. So to do that, you just go to your settings, and it's a little bit different for every single one, but every different phone. But you go to your settings and then you go to camera, and there's going to be an option that says, it'll say like grid, or usually it says grid, and you can either turn that on or off. So you want to turn the grid on so that when you're actually looking on your phone, this little grid will appear every time you go to take a photo or a video. And then that way you don't have to try to kind of guess while you're doing it. So that's another little tip for you. The other thing about making a reel is that you want to make it snappy. So this is a little reel that I just took when I was flying out of Kenora last week, actually. And this is kind of like a what not to do. So this is really beautiful. Like you have this beautiful view of the plane as we're flying out. And it's quite calming. But this is a 2-minute video. And the reality is that nobody is going to watch a 2-minute video on social media. As beautiful as this is, no one is going to sit there on their phone and just watch it for that long, okay? So really we want to ideally keep our reels between about 15 seconds to maybe 1 minute. And that's actually, sometimes it's a lot harder to keep things short than it is to let them be longer, okay? So when we go to make a reel or make a video, what I suggest is that you take a few takes of it. So that means you video it a couple of times, and each time try to get that information out quicker and more succinct. And I know that's really hard, especially how, many of you come from a culture where yarning is a very normal part of life and it's how we communicate. And so yarning is very much just kind of, it has this kind of time there's no time quality. Like, you're just having a yarn is what we say, right? But when we're making videos, we can't really be having a yarn because people on social media aren't going to sit there in that sort of space. So we want to make sure that if I took a video like this one, for example, instead of trying to put the full video up on my social media, I would probably just trim out 15 seconds to a minute of it. And then I would put text on top of it, or I would voice over. And I'm going to show you how to do all of this. So I could have this video going, but then I could record myself talking, right, on top of it, and then have what I'm saying show up on top of it. And then that way the video is more of just the background, and the main thing is what I'm saying. So that's one idea of how you can make better videos. The thing to be mindful of, though, is that people really prefer to see faces. And this is the thing that I find is so difficult for so many people, is that really not many of us like being in front of the camera. You know, I have probably photographed over 1,000 people easily, if not thousands of people in my career. And, you know, of all of the people I have photographed, I have never, ever had somebody say to me, I just love having my photo taken, or I just love being in front of the camera, right? Every single person, one of the first things that they say when I get my camera out is, oh, I hate having my photo taken. Or they say, oh, I hate being in front of the video. Like, I just, this is so unnatural. And so if that's how you feel, I just want you to know that it's completely normal. That's how everybody else feels too. The thing is that as we find in business, like as we do business, we have to do so many things that make us uncomfortable. And part of growing our business is that we have to grow ourselves, and we have to like push past those boundaries of where we feel really like nice and cushy and safe, right? And we have to move outside of those to this, like, this feels risky and uncomfortable, and I don't always like this. And so when it comes to making reels or making videos for your business, the thing that will have the most cut through and the most effect is going to be people seeing you, because nobody is more knowledgeable or passionate about your business than you are. Okay. And that's how people will know, like, and trust a human face faster and easier than they'll ever know, like, and trust a logo. Okay. Or some generic, you know, landscape sort of thing. So it's really important that when we're making a reel, that you put yourself into it. So the way you can do this, if it could be as simple as turning your camera around and holding your phone like this and talking to your camera and recording that. You know, I often suggest that people go and do it in their car, because that seems to have a really good, it's better audio as well. But for some reason, it feels a bit more natural. Or you can just, you know, the first few times you're doing it, like, make sure that you're not trying to do it with a bunch of people around watching you, because you're already nervous enough, right? So find a place that you can go and you can just record yourself, and then let yourself have permission to do multiple takes. So what that means is give yourself permission. Hey, I don't have to get this right the first time. I can redo this 10 times if I need to. Okay, I'm going to keep trying until I'm happy with it. And the thing is that just like anything else, the more that you do it, the better you get at it. Okay, so you won't always need to take 10 or 15 takes, right, before you're happy with it. If you keep on showing up, you'll get better and better at it. All right, so that's one way that you can do it, is just record yourself. So you might be like, I want to tell you a little bit, let's see, what would a product be? Like maybe you have a bush medicine product. So you could say, I want to tell you about this really great product, and here are 3 fun facts about why it's so wonderful, right? And then you're like, boom, boom, boom. Here's the 3 facts. Want to learn more? Go to our website. Or if you're interested in buying, contact me here, whatever it is, right? So you can take the information that you already know and have, and you're just recording yourself giving that information and then sharing it with people. Okay. So I see this a lot, like you want to be educational is what I'm saying. Is you can educate people about your products. Or it might be something where you're like, I'm just having a really great day, and things are going really well in my business, and I just want to thank all of you who support me to do this thing I love. My customers mean the world to me. So that showing of gratitude and appreciation is also a really great reel that people can connect with. So set yourself the goal. I would really encourage you to try to make one video this week with you in it and actually share it on social media. Okay, because as much as I can show you all these other things about, making reels using landscapes and pictures and all the rest of it, nothing will be more effective than you actually videoing your face talking passionately about what you like and love in your business. So make sure that you record yourself because that's what people want to see. So just like there was the Color Story app, this is made by the same company, but it's a free app that you download that's called Film with 2 M's right here, FILMM. And what's really great about this app is that you can drop multiple videos into it and string them together. So people, when you're making a video, maybe you might have a video of you talking, but then you might take like a 10-second video of your product. So you might just put your product on the table, and then you can just take your phone and video it and like move your phone like this around the product so people can see it for 10 seconds. With this app, what you can do is you can upload multiple videos and photos into it, and then you can cut them down. So like say I have that video I showed you before and it's like 2 minutes long. I can go in and be like, I only want this 15 seconds of the video. So I can slide this bit over and I can slide that bit over. And I'll be like, that's 15 seconds and I only want that 15 seconds. And then I could drop the video I recorded of myself in, and I could drop the video that I took of my product, right? And I could put them all together. And then this will make it all into one video that I can just upload onto my social medias, okay? The other thing that you can do with this app is it has a voiceover feature, which I actually find to be really easy to use. So sometimes if you're not always willing to put your face in front of the video, sometimes you're more willing to just talk, right? So you could put a video in and then you just hit the voiceover and you can talk into it, and it will record your voice and it'll put your voice over the video so that you have this pretty scenery. Or you could have, maybe you have a tourism company, so you could put a video of the 4-wheel drives going through the creek, and then on the top of the video is just your voice talking about the adventures that people can have with your company and that, or the adventures that, these people had, or you could read a review. So maybe one of the people on the trip left you a review and they're like, we just had the best time and we so appreciated. So you could just voice over you reading that really great review and saying, we love our customers and we're so thankful to get to do this thing that we love. So that sort of thing. So that this app is a really great option for you that you can then use this to enhance your videos. There are things like filters. You can put text over it. So maybe you want to put your website on the video. So you could just put a text box on the top and put your website on that. And so when people are watching the video, they automatically see your website where they can learn more about you. So there's all sorts of things that you can do. The thing with all of this is that the best way to do it is to try. And I find that people are usually pretty open to trying things with photography. Like they're usually willing to try to take a picture, and they're willing to try to edit it and put it on their social media. And that seems a little bit more in that easier to do category. However, people I find struggle with trying video. There's something about it that feels really intimidating and unnatural. And so because of that, we don't even want to try. And so the thing that I just want to encourage you is to try, is to download the Film app. When we're done, you can get your phone out right now and download it. It's in the app stores, right? It's free. Download that app, right? And if you're not willing to do a video of yourself yet, then find a video that's already on your phone, because I know probably most of you have videos that you've already taken, right? Because we capture our lives now with our phone. And so find a video that you've already taken and give it a go, because I can sit here and talk about it, but it still feels very intimidating until you actually get in and just have a play, right? Have a go at it, and you'll find that it's not nearly as scary and difficult as you think it might be. I really do promise. So those are kind of my top tips for the videoing and the photography and the branding and marketing in your business. If you have questions, I know that this isn't like a live interactive, but I just want you to know that I'm always happy to receive questions. So I do quite a few webinars a month, and you can reach out to me. So I have people who will email me or they'll message me on socials. If there's something in particular that you would like a bit more clarification about, I'm here to help you, because I really do want to see you succeed in your businesses. So you can find me at, here's where you can find me. You can find me, I mostly hang out on Instagram for social media. So I'm at Life as Art AU. So that's where you can find me. You can, my page is public, so you can say hi or message me. And then my website is dianahenderson.com.au. And that's where you can get a hold of me if there's anything that you would like more information about. But the biggest thing I want to leave you with is just to give it a go, to take these things that you learned in this webinar and actually give it a go. And that if you're not sure, what's great is that this is recorded, so you can always rewind back to the point where I started talking about it and rewatch that bit again. So get out your phones, make sure to wipe your lenses, clean those lenses before you do anything. Take some really beautiful photos, give video a try, and don't be afraid of putting those up on your social media and just seeing what happens. And you might be surprised how people might interact differently with video than maybe they have been with the other content that you've been sharing. I want to thank you all for being here, and I just want to thank the organizers for having me. It's always such a privilege to get to share in this space, and I wish you all the best day and the best of luck in all of your businesses, and hopefully I will see you around another time. Thank you. Bye-bye.